Could we be seeing some mathematical proof that Bitcoin is likely to head up to 40,000 bucks? Well, it makes for some great clickbait on good old YouTube, and there actually are a few interesting things within that regard. So we're going to follow up on a few ideas that we actually looked at in late August and again in early September, and correlate them with kind of what we're looking at as of right now. And without further ado, I should probably welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel. Blah 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 blah. You know the rest. Let's just jump right into it. Starting off right over here with our first chart of GBDC. So GBDC is of course a Bitcoin investment trust. They've been trying to get an ETF, and due to the current ongoing cases that they have in whatever courts, it seems like they're probably closest to actually getting an ETF compared to everything else, or at least people believe that they have a pretty high probability within that regard. So first things first, I want to show you a correlation between Bitcoin and, let me actually put this on. There we go. Between Bitcoin spot and, of course, GBDC, and we can measure the correlation between them using the correlation coefficient and the adaptive R squared here. You can see that on the weekly time frame, these things are, and as you would expect, highly correlated, except for two prior periods in history, and of course the period that we're looking at as of right now in October of 2023. I'm going to mark these areas off and we'll go kind of document them. But if you were back on this channel in 2018 and 2019 especially, we would look at GBDC as kind of like a leading indicator for Bitcoin a lot, and it worked out pretty damn well. Worked out incredibly well over here in 2018, where GBDC broke down first and then Bitcoin followed later on that 50% dumb bulla party, and then over here in 2016, which was not a video of mine, but GBDC moved to the upside first and Bitcoin spot followed yet again. So, GBDC, usually a bit of a leading indicator. And in this case, it looks like they might be doing the same thing, as we have seen a bit of a, I wouldn't say this is a decorrelation, but just a bit of a stutter step right here as it gets less correlated, because what happened, GBDC moved up significantly more to the upside than Bitcoin spot did. Let me go back to log scale here. So yes, that is of interest. In fact, GBDC tested all the way back up to the May 2022 breakdown region. Well, May 2022 breakdown area for GBDC would have been on Bitcoin equivalent. If I go back on over here, well, that would be about 39,000 to 40,000 to 41,000 bucks within this region. So looking at that, it does appear, if this correlation does continue on, and GBDC is still a bit of a leading indicator, that would be a pretty damn good area for Bitcoin to find a high on this current rally. Now, I would say that it probably does find a high there, because this is looking like a pretty stark rejection thus far, or at least a really good place for a retracement for GBDC. But if we were to take this another step further and come at this one from a different angle, we could throw on an inverted fib here, and what do you know? GBDC has essentially hit the 618 and got stopped at the 618 thus far. Again, I'm not saying that it's like going to reverse to hell from here. Maybe it does, but it would be a really good area for it to have a bit of a at least a short-term, medium-term high, as it does kind of come back down and consolidate a little bit lower. Well, if we go over here to Bitcoin, well, this is actually CME, but same shit, and we look at a similar thing, well, we could put on the same sort of inverted fib, and where's the 618? It's coming in right at the top of, again, that May 2022 breakdown region, which is in the very high $30,000 territory. Again, you might get wicks a little bit higher, as you did get over here as well, but that would maybe be suggestive that Bitcoin spot does get a right up there maybe in the coming weeks, as we see that correlation come back into normality at a very, very high level. So I did think that was rather interesting. Anyways, this also does line up with one of our other models that we have over here, the 5-day volatility versus stochastic momentum signature, which, by the way, is closing tonight, and it is going to have a chance to, it's already confirmed volatility expansion as far as I'm concerned. That's quite obvious, I do think, but the setup itself is in motion, if you will. And with that in mind, we do see a very strong first correlation between the direction of, or the expansion of volatility and the direction of the 5-day stochastic oscillator, which as of right now is very likely going to even break this long-term regression, assuming that price action closes today above 29,150. Okay. And then, of course, if we were to reference the statistics for this one, the average move based upon that was about 40%. On the upper end, 50%, as it does have a standard deviation of 10%. And so far, we've only seen we've seen Bitcoin go to the upside like 35%. GBDC, for example, went up, I believe, closer to 60%. So, these are two different things here, obviously. And when we look at that, is it relevant to say that Bitcoin might go up a little bit more, or could it go up 40%, which would be right around that average? Well, that would put it around 38,500 or 39,000 bucks, and well, that would be exactly in alignment with your May of 2022 breakdown region. Interesting, right? And again, time frame on that would be within the next few weeks, basically, like somewhere between about 2 to 4 weeks. So I did think that was rather interesting over here. Anyways, also of interest is of course CME's weekly closure is going to have a chance to close basically on new highs for the year, especially most importantly above the 32,500 rejection over here, and also above that 50% retracement from the ultimate high to the ultimate low of this cycle thus far. Again, do I think this is an ascending triangle or a W formation? I don't know. I don't really trust those things too much, but that I believe also would have an implied target somewhere around that region as well. Let's see. What do you know? Yeah, 39, basically 40,000 bucks. Interesting. And then of course we can go ahead and reference the HPGR bands on the daily here. We still see the ranges stepping up, which is good. And as I said before, I always hate it when I say, use that terminology because it sounds so fucking pompous. But, as we were looking at before, Bitcoin likely found its high for the week. That's fine. If we're going to see continuation, closer to the beginning of next week is most likely. And that's like not that crazy to say. Again, Bitcoin had a pretty nice move this week, hitting up closer to that 95 of historic returns range high. It's going to very likely take some time trading sideways, wait for these areas to catch on up. And then once they do, that's at the point where I'd say, hey, pressure on yet again. And we could see, and we could very easily see another move to the upside maybe next week is probably what I'd be saying. Again, this is after hitting, some of the highest levels on our volatility oscillators right here and our volatility indicator right here that we've seen in very long time, like more than 6 months. So ultimately, a bit of consolidation, likely continuation. I do believe probably likely as well. I would have the same thing to say as before, in the sense that Bitcoin above 32,500, especially for this next weekly closure, very imperative for be getting likely one more, another week or two of continuation. So I think I'll leave things right there. Again, 32,500, very, very important for the boo laws. Below there, I would actually start to turn bearish and look at this as a major trap. I don't think that's what's happening, but that would be my major line in the sand for that. Until then, everything above, good for the boo loss. So I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off. As always, I wish you the best of the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow for Saturday, for Skill Saturday. In fact, I should ask the community, is there anything in particular that you do want to see for Skill Saturday? If not, I will just go off of what I'm going to be going off of. So fair enough. All right, see you there. Take care.